Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to have Penny Tremblay as my guest today. Penny is a workplace relationship expert. She's an author, she's a mediator, a trainer, and a speaker, and a very good friend of mine. And welcome, Penny.
Thank you, Corinne. Thanks for having me on your great promotion to increase the happiness and the vibration that people have going through the holidays, which I know can be very stressful.
It is, and this is one of the reasons I have this promotion and this journey, actually, journey towards joy. Penny, as an expert in conflict resolution, how would you address the conflict that could arise this year regarding different vaccination choices, especially as we are able to get together with our families this year for the holidays?
Yeah, vaccination is a really hot topic for conflict, for families, workplaces, communities in general. And it has been for a long time. You know, we're maybe 7 or 8 or 9 months already that, you know, people have been able to make the choice. Do I want to be vaccinated or do I not? And the individual choice is one thing, then the conflict is created when we're expecting our choice to be other people's choices. Right. And when we are gathering at large event or, you know, at major holidays like Thanksgiving, which we had back in October in Canada, actually yesterday in the US, or the upcoming Christmas, I think what's important, the first thing that I think is really important in any conflict resolution tip that I would give is let's try to not judge things as being right or wrong. Like I'm right, they're wrong. Because we all have different opinions, right? So rather than right or wrong, it just is what it is. We have different opinions. Period. Right. So I think that really releases us from being entangled in somebody else's choice because we won't change their choice. We don't get to control other people. What we do get to control is ourselves and how we think and feel about certain circumstances and situations. And so I think that, you know, that's a really important first step to any conflict resolution is recognizing that rather than judging other people for not thinking like you, the right or wrong judgment, just, you know, it is what it is. It's different and it's not right or wrong. It's not necessarily right or wrong. I mean, who's to know what's right and who's wrong in the whole grand scheme of this pandemic and the options that people have to take care of themselves. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, you know, you can look to your CDC guidelines, your health unit guidelines, and you can use those guidelines as reasonable policy, if that's too strong of a word, reasonable guidelines to go on. So, for example, you might be the head of a family, like like I'm thinking about one of my aunts who always has her family gather for dinners. And she's thinking like, well, what am I going to do at Christmas? Because so-and-so's partner, refuses to get vaccinated. So what do I do? Do I not allow her to come? Do I, and so that's a really personal question. I would highly recommend that somebody takes a look at the current guidelines going into the holidays. Things could change between now and December 25th if it's the dinners on that day. But I recommend that you really take a good look at what's important to you, being the host, and use the guidelines, the CDC in the US, or the health units and the provincial guidelines in the areas of Canada that you might live in, and look at how those might be able to influence your choices and lean on them. If you don't feel comfortable having somebody come, then don't, just stand in that and have the conversation with that person rather than doing what most of us do when we're in conflict and have the conversation with everybody else.
Yeah, yeah. So really thinking about what you feel comfortable with for yourself and your family. And then if you have to make some choices where you may not invite somebody, speak with them personally, explain to them, and not judging their decision, but just saying, you know, I don't feel comfortable, and personally speak with them. And you may have a really wonderful conversation, and it may bring you closer than you expect, just being open and honest with somebody.
Always happens. Open and honest conversations always create a closer connection. Another idea might be to, ask somebody who's in, I'll say who's not vaccinated, because over 80% of people are vaccinated, and we do have vaccination mandates where you and I live in Ontario, that you have to be vaccinated to gather in public spaces like restaurants and so on. So I'll say, hypothetically speaking, let's say somebody or some collection of people in your family are not vaccinated. What you could do is you could have a meeting beforehand and collaboratively talk about how might we, okay, and that's a very key word, learned it from Mike Campagotto from North Bay, Ontario. How might we create a safe gathering and look for ideas from everybody involved. The non-vaccinated people and the vaccinated people, would have ideas like, well, we might have a rapid test, the day before, and only if you are negative should you be coming. There's going to be a lot of great ideas and brainstorming ideas that come out of a meeting like that. You could have a very quick family meeting like that on Zoom and give everybody like an inclusive opportunity to share how might we, because the opposing argument for somebody who's not vaccinated would be, well, what does it matter, because vaccinated people can get the virus too. And that is very true. So having an inclusive brainstorming session on how might we create the most safe space possible. People might talk about, distancing or masks or whatever. But what's really important is that there's not really any right or wrong answer. Mm-hmm. It's a collection. And this, like you said, is a great opportunity to bring a family closer together, is by having the open conversation about this. The only thing that I do caution is, if you are going to go into a brainstorming session, which is a great idea, don't let it get into a political debate. Brainstorming means we're just having ideas right now, and there's no such thing as a dumb idea or a bad idea. Let's just get a whole bunch of ideas collected, and then, maybe think about it and regroup on what the final choices are.
And I've practiced the testing before meeting somebody while I was in Austria, visiting everybody. In a matter of an hour, you have your results. Then you can visit somebody. They would do the same. And that was a safe way of knowing that, everybody involved is safe. Another thing that I was thinking of, Penny, too, is if we have somebody on Zoom joining, if they're not feeling comfortable joining, even, when you're having dessert, they can join. So thank you for those ideas and suggestions. And I encourage everyone in the group to have those conversations. Think about it first, what you like, because that's the most important. Then talk with everybody in your family, have those conversations. And I hope that this was really helpful for everyone in the group. Thanks, Penny, for joining us today.
You're very welcome.